We all rise, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and take a moment of silence. Clerk DeMarco, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Damstra?
Here.
Trustee Carter?
Here.
Trustee Hurwitz?
Here.
Trustee Prose?
Here.
Treasurer Moran?
Here.
Clerk DeMarco here. Supervisor Korth?
Here, thank you. Okay, we have several items on our agenda today. The agenda has no proposed changes at this time, and so I would ask someone to move to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
We have the motion by Trustee Hurwitz, supported by Trustee Damstra, to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries unanimously. So we'll move on to the general township business. It's the motion to approve minutes and accept and file reports and communications under the consent agenda. That will include the regular board meeting minutes from May 26, closed session meeting minutes also from May 26th, and then we'll receive and file the following reports and communications. The Thornapple River Bridge pedestrian bridge meeting minutes number 9, the Covered Bridge Park progress meeting number 19 minutes, the Covered Bridge Park progress meeting number 20 minutes, the Grand River Drive Trail Improvement Pre-Construction meeting number 2 minutes, the Conservation Boardwalk Replacement Project Final Inspection Punch List meeting minutes of May 26. Carmen Knowles Drain Assessment Notice from the Kent County Drain Commission, the Forest Glen Drain Assessment Notice also from Kent County Drain Commission, and then the Revenue and Expense Report as of May 31st, 2026. So if anyone has any questions or comments on any of those items that were in our packets, please speak now.
I move to approve the minutes and accept and file the reports and communications under the consent agenda for June 8th.
Second.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Moved by Trustee Prose, supported by Trustee Carter. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, so we'll move on to the approval of the warrants, the township general warrants. Treasurer Moran, would you please present the warrants?
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, June 8th, 2026, we have hand checks that total $273,491.48 and warrants that total $313,881.91 for a total of all hand checks and warrants of $587,373.39.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? And if not, a motion to approve these items. All the details have been in our packets that we received.
I move approval of the warrant report for Monday, June 8th, 2026, in the amount of $587,373.39.
Second.
All right, thank you. Moved by Trustee Hurwitz, supported by Trustee Damstra, to approve the township general warrants in the amount of $587,373.39. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, so roll call vote. I apologize. Thank you.
Supervisor Korth?
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran?
Aye.
Trustee Prose?
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Damstra?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the consider the Covered Bridge Park pay application number 8 from Caterburg Verhaeg in the amount of $591,136.48. Peter is here to present that. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So we have pay application number 8 here for Gator River Hay, like I said, covers about $591,000 and includes quite a bit of items here. We're definitely hitting the point now where a lot of the finished surfacing and finished building work is happening, so the applications are getting larger, but that's just the exciting part about getting close to the finish line. So on here we have work for the Veterans Memorial. We have work here for the tables and sunshades. We have the restroom and canopy structure, a lot of sidewalk, and then a bunch of seat walls, other raised planter walls, other concrete work across the site. Is there any questions?
What's your ETA at this point?
We are shooting between August 1st and August 12th right now, so soon to be locked down though. We had a conversation last week about when exactly. There's a couple of things we just need to finalize and then hope for good weather the rest of the way out.
What was the original on this contract completion date?
This Friday, is it June 13th? I believe. Memorial Day opening, and then, actually, Memorial Day was the original date for opening fully, and then after that, yep.
So it was initially supposed to be done on the,
I believe full open was Memorial Day, and then from there, we started shifting the schedule. That full Memorial Day was before bids went out and contractors' schedules came in, yes.
not having the contract in front of me, is there any penalty for not finishing on time?
No, all schedule changes so far have been, well, there is, but the schedule changes have been agreed upon so far across the change orders and other items that we've kind of adjusted our schedule for, whether arrival of materials and then just generalized work. Yep. I'll put in the word, I think Kitteberg's been absolutely throwing as much manpower as they can on there. I've asked them about, like, hey, have you reached critical mass? Is there too many people on site? Like, are we gonna start bumping into each other? Are we gonna have issues of access? And they've done a really good job keeping that place very packed with different contractors and different trades and services.
Okay.
On the same subject, the super wet weather we had in May and just the winter in general, I mean, how did that, I realize it affected it, but if you thought you could hit the Memorial Day originally, or even sometime in June, say originally, how much of an impact was that in relation to that day? Was it like 5 weeks, 6 weeks? I mean, is it the whole time, or is there other things that are making up the delay window?
We had a really early winter this year. If you guys remember, it was like November, we got the first big snow. I know that there was a lot of plans for earthwork on the south side, which had to be held until the spring. And then, yeah, so that cost us probably 3 weeks-ish. I mean, sometimes contractors get a little, I don't know, they like to be a little aggressive, saying like, hey, we might not get heavy snow until mid-December, and if we can move dirt, we'll move dirt. And then the weather itself, the rain cost us 2 weeks completely for flooding, and then there was a decent amount of makeup after that. Like, we had the whole site staked out for survey and like different points of construction, and we couldn't trust those stakes anymore since they're underwater. There was just probably like 3 weeks of time there that we had to kind of build up and rebuild the site, so ready to go. Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So do we have a hard finish date at this point?
So, I mean, our hard finish date was August 12th. We're hoping that we can open sometime before then. So we're working on scheduling with Kitteberg and Progressive to identify what that date is so we can do a ribbon cutting and opening of the park with donors and the public.
How are we on donations?
So, I mean, the Covered Bridge Park portion, I mean, everything has been received. I think, you know, we're at probably 95% of capture on donor pledges. We did phase the project as Covered Bridge Park North and South being kind of phase 1, as well as the pedestrian bridge. But then phase 2 is the trail that will run off of the new pedestrian bridge, essentially, down to McGraw Park. And so that is kind of, and then the kayak launch. So that is being dubbed as phase 2. So that'll be something we look at next year. Once we know where this project ends with contingency, we'll have a much better picture where we're at in terms of a gap, if there is any at all.
Would this be the time to ask about the vortex issue going on?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, how is that looking, and is that going to set us back?
Yeah, for background, Vortex is the the splash pad installer that is contracted through Ada, through oh geez, I'm forgetting the name of the co-op, but there's a specific program there where you save money going directly to the vendor. It's been fun, put that way. We actually compiled a list of all the times we tried to contact them and did not receive anything, voicemails, phone calls, emails. We got a hold of them last week on Monday. Clearly they understood that no one was happy on our side, so confirmation of them of the materials and stuff like that, and then also that their contractor should be on site, I believe next week to install, which is really good news for us. That was the one thing that was really giving us heartburn about the schedule was we can't get the splash pad on. The splash pad can't just be installed post. There's a lot of things that kind of work into it, like the concrete. The shelter can't be poured until then. The access drive can't be put in. There's all sorts of just piping everywhere. So now that that's good to go, I think that was one of the big hurdles, but we have them on there. I think that's about all from them. Hopefully the
So
communication.
the equipment has not been picked up and it's there and you're gonna work with it?
It's on site, ready to
Okay.
go. They just have to come and install it. Because if they don't install it, you lose the warranty, and you don't want to lose the warranty. That's the key. Yeah.
And we will have certification for safety inspections prior to opening.
Yes, we talked about that for the playground. Kidberg is getting someone lined up to do the inspections. Correct. Yep.
You said just for the playground?
Yeah, the Vortex splash pad will be. So this is something I need to go back and check. I don't know about certifications for that. I will verify that.
Mhm.
Assuming it's covered under their contract, but I don't want to misspeak on that. So
That, we should have clarification on that.
yes,
Yeah.
good call.
Any other comments? And if not, would someone consider moving on this request for pay application?
I move approval of pay application number 8 in the amount of $591,136, no, $591,136.48 to Caterburg Verheg. Second.
Motion by trustee Rose, supported by trustee Carter, for the pay application to Caterburg Hay for $591,136.48. This is a roll call vote. Clerk DeMarco.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll move on to consider the Hall Street Lift Station and Force Main Project Pay Application Number 7 from Kaminga and Rudvo for an amount not to exceed $116,272.88. Hi, Ryan.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Ryan Aarons, Moore-Brugge, Township Engineer. Had before you pay recommendation number 7 for the Hall Street Lift Station and Sanitary Force Main Project. This pay application is in the amount of $116,272.88. It's for work completed through April 30th. We have ratcheted back the retainage to approximately 2%. Pretty much all that's remaining are a few punch list items. Kaminga and Rudvoots has addressed their punch list items. The outstanding punch list items are electrical and related to the controls for the lift station, and we're working through those. But that pretty much summarizes it. And yeah, any questions on the pay recommendation?
No, these are fun. These are fun ones. You know, where we start out at 592 and end up much larger. Good to get this monster behind us 4 times what we initially thought.
The, getting the site resettled, do we know, are there any, and Julie, as you might know, are there any neighbor issues related to the surroundings at this point that are still open?
Yeah, so we're working through some minor screening items, and I spoke with Dennis Brinks, our BFG director, on potential hand watering, some plants and things like that around the actual generator area and lift station so that we could make sure that consumers came through, cut trees, cut things down to get access for the new power. We want to try to make sure we screen that site as much as possible. So we're still working through the with neighbors. There was an asphalt piece, I think that's been resolved. So I think all of it, other than, I think some hand watering and some plant replacement is about it with the neighbors, correct, Ryan?
Yeah, that's correct. In the landscaping, they are going to start the watering and cultivating
Okay.
on that as well.
Because they need to water it for how long?
Basically the first year.
Okay.
Okay, great, Thank you. All right, so anyone else have any other questions? And if not, would someone consider approving this pay application?
Motion to approve Hall Street Sanitary Sewer Force Main and Lift Station Project, pay application number 7 to Camiga and Rotoboats in the amount of $116,272.88.
Support.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Damstra, supported by trustee Hurwitz. Another roll call vote.
Treasurer, sorry.
Go ahead.
Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
trustee Prose,
Aye.
supervisor Korth,
Aye.
clerk DeMarco, aye, trustee Carter,
Aye.
trustee Hurwitz,
Aye.
trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to consider the Thornapple River pedestrian bridge project pay application number 5 from Grand River Construction in the amount of $186,071.79.
Thank you again, Supervisor Korth, Ryan Aaron's, Morn Brugink, Township Engineer. I have before you pay recommendation number 5 for the Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Project, the Grand River Construction for work completed through May 31st. This pay recommendation is in the amount of $186,071.79. It does include and holds 10% retainage on the overall amount earned thus far, which is $104,424.78. This pay recommendation is majority boardwalk that is nearing completion. They probably will be done with the boardwalk the end of this week, early part of next week. I'm sure you're all aware, but the bridge set is scheduled for a week from this Friday. They're going to close the Thornapple River Bridge down at 6 p.m. on Friday. You'll start to see a lot of material show up. The prefabricated structures, they'll pick those off trucks, set them down, weld them together, and then they will start placing Saturday morning. Plan is to have everything set by late Saturday afternoon and have the bridge reopened. So after everything's set, Grand River Construction will have about a week and a half of pouring the concrete deck, getting everything cleaned up and prepping to get it open to traffic.
Ryan, how about weather? What do you
So,
got there?
It is weather dependent. We get thunderstorms, high winds. Obviously, it's a big safety concern, so then it would look to get pushed probably a week. We would talk with the road commission immediately to see if they'd give us any grace and wiggle room to do the work potentially during the week. But yeah.
Out of curiosity, where are the pieces now?
So Anderson Bridge in Minnesota is the manufacturer, so they will be trucking them directly from there to us. So.
And the road commission will have advance notice boards up 10 days prior.
Yeah, they're gonna put the portable changeable message boards that you
Okay.
see, they're gonna put those up to notify residents and motorists that, hey, the road's gonna be closed from 6 p.m. Friday evening through probably 6 p.m. Saturday evening. The hope is, early Saturday afternoon, everything's set and they can open it back up.
And originally, they were shooting for, was it this past weekend, but we had the Grand Rapids Triathlon, and then this Friday is Beers of the Bridge. So we did have to push this one back a couple weeks, so that was our request, not necessarily the contractor.
Any other questions from anyone? If not, would someone please consider moving to approve this pay application?
I move approval of the Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Project pay application number 5 to Grand River Construction in the amount of $186,071.79.
Support.
Okay, thank you. Moved by trustee Hurwitz, supported by trustee Damstra. This is a roll call vote.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
clerk DeMarco, aye, treasurer Moran,
Aye.
trustee Prose,
Aye.
trustee Damstra,
Aye.
trustee Carter,
Aye.
trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our first public comment portion of our meeting. Would any members of the public like to come up to speak to any topic that they'd like to talk about? If so, come up, name and address for the record, please, and give us your comments. If you could try to limit them to 3 or so minutes, it's appreciated.
All right. Nevin Zelensky, 6151 3 Mile Road. I'm here because I'm a little bit disturbed by what I feel is a allocation of taxpayer dollars that is not being done fairly for the residents on 3 Mile Road. You know, I did talk to Julius. There's some talk about crushed asphalt going down on that road. And, but the people who spoke and wanted to remove the Natural Beauty Road designation wanted it paved. And you're going for a very cheap solution that has a mixed bag of results from 2 Mile Road. The residents who live there have questions about it. They all aren't really in favor of what you've done. So you're doing all this so-called piecemeal work that really is requires something very simple, and it is called paving. You put down asphalt and you're done. I remember talking to Wayne Harrell, the county engineer, about that road. He said it would be $800,000 to pave that road from Egypt Valley to Pettus. Now that was many years ago, so maybe it's up a little bit, but that's a 50-50 proposition for both. Now what are you doing? You have a fee structure that's going to be going out to the architectural firm here for $605,000. All right, you have a fee of $605,000 going out to an architectural firm. For what? So you can build yourself a pretty township office. You're ready to spend $605,000 to an architectural firm here, but you won't pave our road. That's not fair. You're spending $605,000. So how much is the building? According to township minutes, it's what? An average of 12,000 square feet? So let's say the building's, what, 5 million? How much is it? What are you thinking? Because you got to have a number, because nothing in the minutes, only thing in the minutes is about 12,000 square feet commercial building. So you're paying this architectural firm $605,000. Well, I looked into some of the fee structures there. Okay, those run 8 to 11%, okay, of a total cost. So if you're at 5 million, that fee should be, on the low end, should be about $400K. But I don't even agree with that, because it's really exorbitant. You could have had the architectural college at Notre Dame, who came in here, and I don't know what their fee was. Were they free? I don't know what their cost was. But you could have had them come in. You could have had college students run that. You got enough smart people at Notre Dame's architectural college, they could have drew you up the best blueprint you ever wanted. But no, you're going to pay this architectural firm, or consider, $605,000. It's outrageous. It's an outrageous expenditure. And you haven't even paved our roads. They're unsafe. And just goes to show your priority. A golden building sitting up over here that you can have fancy offices and nice plush chairs and fancy meeting rooms, and you're going to pay an exorbitant fee to this architectural firm.
You've made your point, I believe, about you think that there's a comparison of exorbitancy.
Well, it comes down to expenditure and cost.
Okay. Do you have any other points you'd like to make to wrap it up, because you're past 3 minutes?
Okay. One other thing I would like you to say is I want a statement on data centers. I want this township board to have a statement. All right, the Lowell Township, their aquifer feeds into Ada. And if they over there in Lowell approve a data center, our wells could very much be in play. The amount of water that those things use is astronomical, and if you don't think they can run our aquifer into a problem, it can happen. This board needs to make a statement that data centers aren't welcome in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up at this time to make public comment? Okay, hearing and seeing no one come up, I'll go ahead and close the first public comment session and move on to our new business. The first item is the Kent District Library Quarterly Report from KDL. Scott Ninemeyer is here to talk with us.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Happy to be back. Summer Wonder is our summer reading program that started a week ago, and so we are very, very busy. The farmers market kicked off last week, and we had 180 at our story time, which is the highest first round of story times at the farmers market I've ever seen. And it's just real exciting to see each year the library get more and more ingrained in the community. And there's a lot of other things on the agenda today that will positively impact the library. So we are grateful for everything you're doing. We're grateful for Dennis taking care of the facility so well. And then we're excited for all of Kent County to enjoy On the Same Page tomorrow at Van Andel Arena. We've got Kristen Hanna coming out for a 10,000 person event, which is the biggest event KDL's ever put on. It was unexpected due to the high demand. The Steve and Amy Van Andel Foundation helped support that with Meyer and some other sponsors as well. So it doesn't impact our library in any financial way, but it's a pretty exciting thing to have happen tomorrow. So we're excited for a great summer. We'll be seeing a lot of you. We'll be at the art fair this Saturday, and I'll open it up to any questions that you might have for me.
I don't have any questions, just a remark that I appreciate you working with our clerk's office about being able to use the facility and coordinate the efforts for the election. So
Yeah, we have a couple-
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thanks, Scott.
I'd like to move on to Resolution R060826-1, a resolution approving access and easement agreement for 527 Ada Drive, which is actually the address of the very library that we were just talking about.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. So yeah, 527 Ada Drive is actually the triangle parcel that is adjacent to the library. We had a request regarding the granting of access and parking easement for this property. The Township Board had reviewed it, had reviewed legal written opinion about it, had also allowed the administrative committee to review it and follow up as needed. And so the request from the Planning Commission, it was approved by the Planning Commission, but there was additional requirements. And so the requirements are noted as below: construction of 6 parking lot spaces, construction of the walkway, access to the driveway, and then placement of dumpster enclosure. We had reviewed it and then also shared it with the Township Board. We're able to remove the dumpster enclosure on township property. There's going to be a shared dumpster agreement with the township for the actual dumpster that's at KDL, because pickup's only once a week, and so that allows us a lot of capacity there where we don't have more dumpsters going in on public property. The other note is the developer will pay $300,000 for the township to utilize for the construction of a parking lot north of the pump station located adjacent to the Amy Van Andel Library at Ada Community Center. The township would own and operate the parking lot as a public parking lot. The location of this parking lot is conceptual, and additional engineering will be required to finalize the project before construction. Engineering estimates currently put that construction cost at about $252,000, with about $60,000 in engineering fees. The original request had a permanent easement term. This revised agreement has a 40-year term with renewal language. And then the building facade that faced the front door of the Amy Van Andel Library at Ada Community Center is updated to the new proposed facade. The original facade looked like the rear of a building and faced the library. They have submitted an updated rendering providing an improved design. I've included the original request and draft materials, the Planning Commission meeting minutes, the updated rendering packet, a resolution, and then a draft access and parking easement agreement. Realistically, if the board approves the resolution today, then it allows the township to continue through this process. One of the notes is that there is still legal review and follow-up. So our legal counsel would work with the developer's legal counsel to bat back some of the terms back and forth regarding the actual implementation and when things go into effect. Construction language, easements, all that different pieces, as well as preparation of the easement, recording of the easement, so a number of different components. But happy to answer any questions, or we do have the developer is present. If Bill, I don't know if you want to say anything, or?
Again, just Bill Payne, PDL, developer of the building. I want to thank the board for your ongoing dialogue on this topic. We've been working with Julius and John and others, and we're encouraged by what this building will bring to the community. And when we talk to Julius, we're also certainly willing to contribute the $300,000 to continue to help alleviate the parking challenges in Ada. We all know almost every meeting we go to, there's an issue of parking. And we think this is one more way that we can continue to hopefully alleviate that and bring a beautiful new building to Ada. But I'm happy to answer any questions any of you have.
Okay, great. Just,
Okay?
Thank you.
I move approval of resolution RO 6022826-1, which is a resolution approving the grant of access and parking easement and related matters to 527 Ada Drive.
support. Okay, we have the motion by trustee Prost, supported by trustee Hurwitz. Anyone else have any comments or questions on it? I'll just make the remark that this has been a pleasure to work on internally, even though it has to go through a lot of odd steps for us because of the community. I do think it's a tremendous asset to us with respect to both bringing a wonderful new building, further completing the intimate community we're trying to develop here in the village, but then at the same time, ending up with more parking than we currently have in conjunction with the parking required for the building. So it's a big overall win, and laying additional curb cuts and that kind of thing too, making it highly walkable for Ada is very, very useful. So I just want to give you as the developer, Ken, you as the architect, and then our entire board and our staff here a big thumbs up. It's moved along nimbly, and it's appreciated. So with that said, this is a roll call vote, and would you call roll, please?
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz,
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so let's move on to the next item, which is the enhanced crosswalk location plan. Kevin Austin is here, our DDA director, to present it, and it's very interesting.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Good afternoon to the rest of the board. You guys have in front of you, you were provided a memo that I constructed. This is the next phase of our implementation of the township's new traffic and vehicles ordinance that did create an increase in safety for our pedestrian circulation here in the downtown. If you guys remember, there's a little background there for you. We did pass that ordinance. You guys did adopt that ordinance. And we are now inside of the 30-day wait period that's required for an ordinance that has an infraction tied to it. That 30-day wait period will expire on June 18th, in which case the ordinance will go into effect. So to further bolster that ordinance and to put that into implementation, I have in front of you guys a proposal for the locations that I would like to see the installation of stop for pedestrian in-road signage, which is one of the most effective ways to communicate that change in our ordinance and improve the safety there. It's something that's been requested probably for the past 6 or 7 years down here. Just so you guys are aware, you likely remember, but for the audience, the enhanced crosswalks, they are not created or they are not designated as enhanced crosswalk until this type of message or this type of device is present. So this is one that was dictated in our ordinance to create that enhanced crosswalk, which then does require vehicles to stop for pedestrians within or at the crosswalk, which does include waiting on the curb. So if you guys look through your proposal there, I have included a couple of items, one being an overall map, which includes all of the crosswalks. These are actually all the unsignalized crosswalks in the downtown district, or at least this area of the downtown district, not the entire DDA, but the downtown area here. This is all unsignalized crosswalks, and this does propose a specific type of signage or a specific type of device, but this is primarily in regarding to the location that is proposed. So if you guys were looking at that map, I did break that down into a table into your packet, so I'll just kind of go 1 through 6 there, and then 7 is just on the rear. So you can see the library is proposed in that first one. That's one sign inside on the yellow markers right there. And then Location number 2 is 2 different ones on Ada Drive and Thornapple, so that's 2 different crossing locations, but relatively proximal. Same type of signage. Ada Drive in Bronson, that is a very popular one right there before the train bridge. River Street and Thornapple near Foxtail Coffee right there. A very popular one, will be very popular this Friday for Beers at the Bridge. Unfortunately, we do have to wait until after the 18th if this is approved. River Street and Thornapple, the street bridge right there. And then also Ada Family Dental, I put in there just as a visual marker. There is a pedestrian island right there. And because of that pedestrian island, I did propose a different layout for these. Just so you're aware, these signs are mobile. So if the location, specifically the placement of the location for a unique place like that isn't ideal, we do have the ability to move around very easily. But I'll get into kind of the specifics a little bit. But there's 2 right there to try to make sure people are aware of that crossing and the rules required at that crossing near Ada Family Dental, which is just past the library. And then number 7 is probably the most prominent crossing that we have been asked to address by our residents, and that's Thornapple River and Fay Street. So that's one basically right in the center right there on the yellow indicator lines. So you guys are aware, I have coordinated with Kent County Road Commission throughout this entire process. I've informed you guys on that. The locations that I proposed, I did receive their approval to move forward with it. And we will continue to have these discussions, especially including off-season marking. So you're aware, right now, the township will handle installation, maintenance, upkeep, replacement, and seasonal removal of the devices. In the off-season, in November, before a large snow, we are permitted by the Road Commission to move that from a center lane to a curbside and to duplicate them. So to increase, so from 1 to 2 on the curbside, so that we do have a lot of winter activity down here. The ordinance does not change in the winter, and we will have better visibility on that side. Some of you might be wondering, there are pretty significant restrictions from the state level, so the MMUTCD, which regulates signage on what can be co-located on crosswalk signs and things like that. So you might think that there's an easier way, but the Road Commission is very opposed to certain co-location. So we are going to work through some of that. But this in-road signage is what they said we can move forward with. So I included with your guys' packet a device there. It is called the Slender Bender trademark. It is, the specifics are there. It is a 40-pound sign that is just about 10 inches wide at the base. It's got kind of ergonomic bending to it to take some hits there from some vehicles. I'm not proposing permanent anchoring right now because the Road Commission is very sensitive to degradation of the surface, but I do want to keep that open for us in the future because they do have an anchoring system that works well. But it is a 40-pound base, which is one of the heaviest that I've seen amongst my research. So it does have good durability in that location, but we do anticipate there will be strikes. And they are able to be moved. First case is going to be probably 4th of July. So we're going to need to be moving those around to get traffic in and out for the complete street use and things like that. But I want to keep that open with the Road Commission for some permanent anchoring. But the specifics and the specifications on that, 45 inches tall, so kind of waist height. And then, like I said, the base is about 10 inches wide, and then it's got some specs for the size of the sign. The sign will read local law at the top, a octagon, the red octagon, so it catches everybody's eye, the pedestrian figure, and then at crosswalk at the bottom. Not within crosswalk, because that would be inaccurate. So these are the locations that I proposed. These are the locations that the Road Commission had allowed me to move forward with. And if you guys have any questions, I am available for any comments or questions.
Kevin, you said that they are going to be permanently anchored, or not yet, but eventually. You need approval from the Road Commission for that?
Correct. So right now, they have given us approval to do these ones which are not permanently anchored with bolts. I've talked to a lot of people about what that does. That, there are options for anchoring into the concrete with a bolt and an anchor that's deeper down. But every season you do have to clear that out if you leave the anchor in, or you epoxy over top so that the salt, sediment, different things like that don't fill it.
That was going to be my next question. Like, what about winter months? What happens for that? So, okay.
Yep.
If and when we get to that point, who actually does the installation?
We will. Okay. Yep. So our staff, probably myself, just because I'm very proud of it, but and you know, we will be placing them out there, but it is 40 pounds, so it's they're pretty obstinate when it comes to being, you know, being maneuvered and everything. Some other ones were about 30 pounds. And this one, I was excited to see that weight because it is not permanently being anchored right now.
Okay.
But I would like to keep that open with the road commission as a possibility. But as you guys know, a November removal every year likely will, you know, provide some challenges on that. But as of right now, they would go from the middle of the street and they would multiply and they would end up on the sides, on the curb closest to the crossing, which as an official sign, as an official MMUTCD sign or a state sign, you do have to have certain approvals to have that warning on the curb line, and they've given us the go-ahead to then place them in the off-season.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, I got just a couple questions. One, going under the railroad bridge, can there be a sign, can we get a sign saying crosswalk ahead or something so that people are getting reminded before they go whipping through the intersection? I think that's going to be necessary. I don't have that, don't know if you know that answer yet or not.
Yeah, so are you, Bob, are you specifically talking about coming down the hill into downtown? Okay, yep. So the visibility obviously is a concern. That was original opposition from the road commission on this. But there is the bridge height warning sign, which does appear right at the edge, a 13'4" right there next to the railroad or the road bridge. And before that, I do believe that there is a standard crosswalk ahead sign which shows the person crossing. If it's not, I can't confirm right now. If it's not, it is right at the curb before you, just as you pass, which is very close to the crossing.
It's going to be needed, especially with all the pedestrian traffic going back and forth. Second, I'm looking at your picture here. Obviously, local law. But can we get rid of yield to make it a stop sign?
Yes, so that is the spec that was provided. That is just giving you details on that model, the Slender Bender model. But the actual copy of the sign is going to say local law on top. It will have a red octagon, a stop for that little stick figure, and then just under it, it will say at crosswalk. So that is the copy that is on order and in fabrication right now.
All right. And we are buying a few extra?
Absolutely, yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, DDA has budgeted this year for looking forward for this, and then we do have a reoccurring allocation every other year to replenish different items like this, and streetscape and these items.
Just to dovetail on his remark about that sign on the curb as you come under the trestle, could we look and see if there's signs out there that say something like required stop, crosswalk, something that's new that reminds them that they may have to stop? Because I mean, the fact that, you know, I'm not even sure if that sign's there at the moment. I just know that as you come under the trestle, I've lived here long enough to worry about people being there, but I'd just like something that's a little more in your face.
Yep, I do know there'll be certain restrictions on those official type of signs for posting them, depending on where they are located in the right-of-way, depending on the type of message, because there's a warning message and then there's a regulatory message, and the current code or state code only allows certain locations. There's a very common one which is stop here for pedestrians, and it points down, and that is similar. I just don't know in this application it would be as relevant, but you can see in almost all the pictures that I provided the actual warning sign to the top right, which is what's out there currently at these crosswalks. Those are state signs, state regulated signs. But I completely understand what you guys are saying about additional visibility for that. We're going to try to do what we can for that, but also with our public education campaign from this point until the 18th, until they're deployed. We've got some graphics. I've touched base with local news networks, and we're going to try to expend all resources so that we can get ahead of the public education prior to the point where they're actually out there, to try to mitigate any issues. But
that was another thing with the signs, the temporary road electric signs that they're going to put up for the bridge closing for the pedestrian bridge. You know, maybe we could get a couple of those that you stick one at either end of town before, and let people know that they're new crosswalk signs. town and let them run for 10 days or something.
Yeah, makes sense.
It should be part of just the information campaign.
Kevin, you've done an awesome job making this happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But you're not done, because we gotta have something that flashes or shows something, just a standard, when people are coming under a curve, they're not really reading the sign. They need something to really let them know. All of us residents that have driven it a lot really become unaware of the signs, and a lot of them are just, oh yeah, we've seen it 100 times. But in that particular case, there's only about, I'm gonna guess, what, 40 feet, 30 feet coming around there from the trestle.
You're talking Faith Street.
Yes. the Faith
Yeah.
Street.
The other thing that I worry about too is I'm seeing more and more kids running around town during the day, especially in the summer months. And if they think that the cars are supposed to stop for them, they're gonna be less attentive than ever. So
Mhm.
I hope that that's not gonna cause us a problem.
Yeah, and to your point, Bob, a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, which is probably what started all of this conversation probably 3 years ago, I think, that was not open to us until we changed our ordinance. Now our ordinance has changed. This is kind of step one for some of these highly trafficked areas to warn people and to get that awareness for the driver. This is completely on us for the installation and the maintenance of this type of signage. A rapid flashing beacon, I've been told by TJ Likens of the Road Commission that they would be talking about a cost share for some of those items and the deployment of specific areas, but that we would want those at. And so that's kind of the next conversation, I think, especially as we keep an eye on what the interaction with these signs are.
That's the exact that's my comment, you know. You did great. We've needed this for 20 years, but now it's time to go from 1 to 2 to 3 and get the whole process set.
Yeah, that was my feedback. I was, great work, Kevin. I love this. But knowing that these are passive devices, right, as opposed to active warning devices. So I think I was just a little bit disappointed not to see that we have a couple flashing beacons on some of these high traffic areas, which hopefully we can work forward as phase 2.
Yep, absolutely.
Do we need an action?
No, I don't think we do.
There is a recommended action at the end for
Yeah,
you.
if we could, the reason we did that is, once this is approved, if we get calls from people and they say, who approved this? We would like to be able to say it wasn't, one, staff provides a recommendation to the board, but also, if there's other crosswalks where people say, we would like one here, then it's not staff doing the arbitrary review process, instead it's the board that would be considering it. And an important note too, is any of the trail crossings that are, above 25 miles an hour are not necessarily eligible for this, but we are adding signage to the trail to let the trail user know that the vehicles are not stopping. Because we want to make sure, as we're changing behavior in the downtown, that when someone is on Pettis or on Huddy Creek, they don't think that a vehicle is going to stop for them if they are using the trail.
Like it.
All right, so the recommended action is this motion. It's a motion to approve the deployment of in-road stop for pedestrian signage at the 9 proposed crossing locations identified within the Ada Township DDA district, and authorize staff to proceed with installation and ongoing maintenance.
Should we add to the motion that, like Bob recommended, that we have like 3 or 4 additional signs on hand? Do we need that?
No.
Okay.
This is just approving the locations. I think DDA Director Austin's already included in the DDA budget for this year, all the costs necessary for potential sign.
But we're buying more than 9.
Yeah, this is
That's
just the
correct, yep.
location piece.
I'll make the motion then, as you stated. You want me to restate it?
No, no need, unless,
Support.
so we have
I'll support it.
a motion from trustee Carter, support from trustee Pros, to approve the in-roads stop for pedestrian signage at 9 proposed locations within the DDA district. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, we're going to go on to our memo from the Administrative Committee regarding the proposal from Seaforth PR for engagement on new Township Hall.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Just this was a memo that I put together, but it was based on the feedback from the administrative committee, and essentially outlined that the administrative committee felt that there was not additional action needed to implement the proposal that was provided by Seaforth PR, and outlined in the memo is all the different points where the township held special meetings or reviews or work sessions or did anything related, as well as a summary of Ada newsletter articles, as well as even interviews on Fox 17, interviews with MLive. The information's available on our website, the Notre Dame report. And we've had some follow-up calls, questions, but we direct individuals to the report and then happy to answer questions if people have them. If the board wants to move forward with some additional education, they can choose to do so. But the admin committee was recommending not to. And then I'd open up to any admin committee members if they want to add anything.
We've done an abundance of recognition, announcements, residential communication. As you know, we've enhanced our website. We've invited people over and over again to sign up for e-notifications so they could receive all the information. They get our agendas out. I don't know how much more we can do. I think we've done a really good job. Plus, don't forget the people who come into the office and they talk about it and they see they see like signage and whatnot. So I'm very confident that we've done plenty.
I would also concur, with Clerk DeMarco's comments. I think we've really gone out of our way to communicate with the residents of Ada of what was transpiring as it relates to the need for a township hall. Notre Dame coming in and opening up the doors, communicating, and allowing the public to respond, which I believe was overwhelmingly positive. I just feel that we've checked all the boxes when it comes to communicating and letting residents know of what our plans are for the future township hall.
And I think, to add to that too, Treasurer Moran and I have the most traffic with residents. For payments and, other questions and knowledge and whatnot. So we are always engaging with people face to face, and you have these conversations. So again, thank you, Treasurer Moran. We interface with people every day, and this is a common topic of conversation.
Well, I'm gonna go on the other side of the fence. And I'm gonna tell you why. I don't know how many residents we have in the community. Not all of them are on email, not all of them are stopping into the office. And there's a lot of confusion. And I was around here when we've been talking about a new township hall for God only knows how long, probably well over 12, 14 years ago. The need for it is evident, but the residents don't always get it. If we are going to set up booths set up at the farmer's market, booth sets up discussion where they're seeing new people and new understanding, the amount of this proposed budget is $15,000. Quite frankly, we spend a lot of money on a lot of things, and this, if we get more people to understand, we will not have a cascade situation because we're not building a Taj Mahal. We're building a functional community center for the township. And quite frankly, we're gonna need all the help we can get promoting this thing, and if it's 15 grand, we need to pay the 15 grand to get the printed materials out there, go to have coffees, do community. You guys do great on meeting them. But for $15,000 extra, I say we get the help of somebody who has helped us in the past, get the trails passed, get many millages passed through my 20-some years of being on this board. So for $15,000, hello, let's get it, all the help we can get.
I'm probably in the middle of the road here, because I'd look at it and say, the old adage, once you think you've communicated enough, you know, you're probably just beginning to get people's attention. But I think that we gotta keep communicating and work even harder. But Bob, I'm a little hesitant to spend another 15 grand on this, even though it's not that much money, compared to the overall project. I just don't think we need to do that. I think we can do it ourselves. We just need to make sure we really up it to make sure everybody knows what we're doing.
You know, for every single meeting that we have, we do a posting with Grand Rapids Press. Notices are posted on our website, physically, at the Township Hall. We have a Facebook account. We have an Instagram account. We are constantly engaged with verbal communication, both face-to-face and even on the phone. People call with questions. Again, I'm gonna ask, how much is enough? I'm all about communication. I'm probably the biggest advocate for communication of any of us sitting here. How much is enough? I'm asking that. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, Trustee Prose. I appreciate what you're saying, Trustee Carter. But I'm physically here. As I said, Treasurer Moran and I are physically here and engaging every single day in a wide range, both physically, on the phone. Where does that end?
At the farmer's market?
At the farmer's market?
Beers on the Bridge?
Does every single resident in Ada go to the farmer's market? I mean, it would be great if they did, but again.
For $15,000, I don't know why we're even really talking about it. But if you don't want to do it, we can take a vote on the thing. We'll see one way or the other. But to me, I mean, it's, they've been very, very successful on many. I don't think you've been around while we've had a millage request, where we've had millage requests that perhaps required a lot of PR to get it.
I'm a resident, I've been around.
Okay. I'm not trying to be offensive in that, but I am saying very sincerely, if we should probably vote on it. If I get defeated, I get defeated. But the reality is, we need the help, because not everybody comes to the township office. And I promise there's gonna be many people that have comments about, similar to Nevin's comments earlier in the evening about, we're building a Taj Mahal, we're doing this, we're looking at Notre Dame. Needs to be a lot of explanation to avoid any issues. That's all I'm saying. And for $15,000,
Let's be clear, this isn't a millage request either, so not to confuse those that are here today. In regards to what Seaford does when it comes to millage, no question. So I believe we've enlisted them to help with our parks department. But in this particular instance, I think knowing that communication was important, we've bent over backwards to make sure we have communicated in all varieties, not just electronic, AdaView, you name it. So I just feel that this is overdone and not needed in this particular instance.
And I forgot about AdaView, I'm sorry, my bad. Thank you for mentioning that, because that goes to every resident in Ada by mail. It's there in writing. There have been several articles, very well-written articles, I might say, regarding the whole project. I also forgot to mention that I do coffee clutches with residents constantly. Everybody and their mother has my phone number. I sit down with residents randomly, sometimes in groups, just to talk about anything they'd like to bring up or talk about, and the Township Hall is another constant topic. And I invite people who think we're building the Taj Mahal, I invite them to take a walk through our building and look at some of the things that are falling apart, like our ceiling, and we have no ventilation in our bathrooms. We have no space for storage. We can't even have elections in our town hall. Thankfully, our wonderful library and team are willing to help us with that. What do we do when we're out of space? What do we do when we have no room for filing? Or even, I have to sell grave purchases. I have to sell cemetery graves. I have cried my eyes out myself because there's been times where I didn't even have a place to bring a grieving family into a private area to talk about, to look at a map and pick out a space for people. That breaks my heart. Not to mention it's a little embarrassing. So I'll just throw this out there just for the heck of it. Anybody who wants to have a private conversation with me or a private tour of our facility who thinks we're building the Taj Mahal, I'm happy to do that. And I will at any day or time of the week.
Just as from a staff perspective, I mean, one of the pieces, it sounds like there's obviously different opinions, but one thing that we could do is not necessarily hire Seaford to do some of this, but the township could, parallel to any, into the work that's approved today, include, a space at the farmer's market, Beers at the Bridge, do all these things. Now, it's tough because Beers at the Bridge, I just sent an email to everyone today, we need more volunteers. And so I'm going to be selling tickets, so I'm not necessarily able to man a booth. And so again, it does get a little bit difficult there, but we can do farmer's market. We can do additional, the staff can do additional sessions, not necessarily, mailing out special invites, things like that. But I think some of this could be bridged if there's a desire from the board to see that done. We're happy to do whatever the board wants to do.
I think that's the point. We're really not debating whether we need a township hall or not. What we're debating is, are we doing enough to enlighten and let people in the township know what we're doing? And, I believe that there is more that we can do, and we gotta look at that. And Julia's just, named a couple of different things here. And I think we gotta always remember that when you think you've communicated enough, you really haven't, or maybe you're just starting to get the message out there. And that seems to be a tenet that you hear all the time about communicating, especially major changes. That being said, Bob, I just have a hard time spending 15 grand doing this when I think we can do this ourselves. And I understand where you're coming from, but it's like Herbert Dixon said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, pretty soon you're talking real money. In our case, 15 grand here, 15 grand there, pretty soon we're talking real money. And I'm just, I just think that we can
Take a vote.
continue to it.
It's 15,000. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, so are you making a motion?
Is there a motion to be made?
No, but he's asking for a motion. And so-
I didn't know if there was.
So I mean, the recommendation from the admin committee was not to do anything. If there's a desire to do something, then you would need to make a motion to approve the Seaford proposal. If there's no motion, nothing will happen.
Or we could also formulate a motion that allowed us to do a hybrid of Seaforth, our own thing. It really boils down to, there seems to be an opinion by both you guys that you can never provide enough information. And so because it's been brought to our attention by a group of people, particularly engaged group of people, that they'd like to see more information about the hall. That's why it's back in front of us. I felt that we had done a really good job, and I also was leveraging in my mind about how we communicated based on the tremendous value and depth of our new website and the fact that we have a really fantastic quarterly glossy document that is mailed to every household in this township. And it was mentioned 4 separate times in the last year that we're working on this. And in my neck of the woods, and in my neighbors and friends and so forth, they're both aware of it or they're not asking about it. In other words, when we do bring it up, they talk about, say, oh yes, I saw that in the 8 of you and whatnot. And so that consequently, I did not have a perception that the community was not aware. And I also did not have a perception at all from all the engagement exercises. I mean, the support was literally unanimous in terms of the people that we spoke with and the people that came to the sessions. And those people found us through the communication framework that we had utilized. So I myself felt that we had done enough. Am I supportive, however, of us if we want to continue to do internally and take on efforts with produce some flyers and things to hand out at Beers on the Bridge or the Farmers Market or come the 4th of July festivities and the music on the lawn, all those kind of community framed events, I'm all for that. Whether we spend 15,000 or not, I don't know. So the real question, there's two things going on here. One is more communication. The other is specifically taking a request from a PR firm who presented to us, who also was the one that's asking for the fee. And so I have a little discomfort with that myself, is that I don't feel that the situation is independent. That they are the ones who've asked for this. So in any event, if someone would like to formulate a motion that would we come up with a budget of some sort, and whether we use the firm, we could leave it at Julius' discretion, whether or not he wanted to work with the Seaforth and Associates, but maybe it's just really a budget number for additional communications, and I would support that if someone would move on it.
I don't know if I'm prepared to make a motion. It's more of an advice, a suggestion that, we look at doing some additional things like Julius mentioned. I don't know if I want to convert that into a motion, but I don't know, that's me.
I mean, if the board felt comfortable, I mean, you could make a motion to authorize the manager to work with Seaforth towards, supplementing where we have shortfalls. Under, it's under my spending authority, which is $10,000, so anything below that. Or the board could not take any action and just let me know, Julius, work with your team to communicate more. And we can do that as well.
That's where I was leaning. That it's just
And
our-
let me, Seaforth PR is extremely good at what they do. So I don't, the level of communication, while we will communicate, there are pieces that they bring to the table that we don't have in terms of graphics, in terms of information. Again, we have the information to put together a good story, but it does come down to staff time and access, Beers of the Bridge. It'd be great if we had a flyer that was created that we could hand out to everyone. Obviously with Beers of the Bridge happening Friday, unlikely for this week. Last year when we did Beers of the Bridge, we had the pedestrian bridge renderings, we had Covered Bridge Park, all the displays, and we sat and we talked to people. And we had, Progressive, I think, was there, and they were answering questions and talking. And so that was a great touch point. We don't necessarily have anything planned for Friday, just quite frankly, because one, staffing, and two, we haven't hired an architect for the Township Hall yet. But, I mean, that's something that we could work on and try to make sure. If we get more volunteers, I'm happy to staff a booth at Beers of the Bridge on Friday.
All right, so I think administratively, Julius is within his powers to do this up to 10,000 without us doing anything, honestly.
Yeah.
And I would, if we, think that's okay, we could go down that approach, or if someone feels that they prefer it to be more formal, then we do need a motion to do anything further with this.
Well, I believe Trustee Carter had an issue with the cost, and as do I. So I would be opposed to that.
Okay.
Opposed to the 15,000 or opposed to?
The 15, I would be opposed to any cost, 15 or even internally.
I'm going to say one of the things that bothers me, this is not about communication, but to take a little point from what you mentioned a little while ago, it's the PR firm that is saying that we haven't done enough, and here's what we'll do for you, and here's how much it will cost. It does leave a bad taste in my mouth. I know that there was a representative from the PR firm, and by the way, I do think they're fantastic. But I would like to see, well, what specifically are you talking about doing? Because again, I only say the things that I say about all the other efforts that we've made, because I don't even believe the board fully realizes all that's been done already. And even, you know, as they say, Treasurer Moran and I come face to face with people every single day. I get phone calls on the weekends at night. People are asking me about this, that, and the other thing, because they read it in the Ada View, and that's how they know that there's a Taj Mahal, being Taj Mahal, and I'm saying that jokingly. That's how they've come to realize it, and they want to talk about it. Okay, fine, let's meet for a cup of coffee. I'll talk to you. So what else would they do?
Let me ask this question, just to try to get this to move along. Based on Kevin's remark, I feel compelled that we would need a motion at this point to give Julius any latitude at all. So could we ask you two, do you have any opinion if we were to put a motion on the floor that said Julius would work with either Seaforth or internally at the township up to a certain dollar amount to provide additional awareness of the new township hall? Is that something you guys would support in terms of?
I have no problem with that at all.
Okay.
I'm leaning that way too. I think more communication, what Trustee Carter shared, I'm kind of, same point.
So I don't want to feel in a position that we're directing that. We would like the idea that we came back and said we need to do more. I think Julius and the rest of the, can look at this and say, where are we lacking, where are opportunities we can do, and we have some flexibility to then enhance our communications. I think it's important to do that, but I don't want to just feel like we're going to go out and hire someone just to go hire someone to do it. I think we got to be aware and, read the tea leaves in some respects to be communicative to our neighbors and our residents.
How would you guys like to man a little booth at the farmer's market?
That can be figured out if we get, so it appears that maybe a motion could be formed. So would someone help to present a motion here to try
I
to?
don't even know if I could structure that motion, but with what you said.
Well, basically.
I'll make a motion to have Seaforth meet with the administrative committee so they could show us what their proposal is and what they would put together for us.
But they have presented, there is a fairly detailed proposal from Seaforth already.
Yeah, I'd rather go with what Tom was saying, that we're gonna, make a motion to give Julius the ability to look at what gaps we might have in our promotion of this, our enlightenment of the community, and to figure out ways to fill those gaps.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
I second it. Let's move on.
Is there a dollar amount tied to it?
He's got a limit up to 10,000. If it
Yeah.
takes 3,000, great. If it
Okay,
takes
all right,
6,000.
that's fine, okay.
Yeah,
Within his normal spending.
right.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to revert this back to Julius with some latitude to look for gaps within the community, develop a plan to enhance our communication in the context of being sympathetic to the Seaforth and Associates presentation up to his spending limit. Is there support for that motion, or are you both?
Yeah, I think
It was
Bob's-
moved by trustee Prose, supported by trustee Carter. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Let's do this as a roll call vote, just because it's been a little bit more contentious than normal.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, nay. Treasurer Moran,
No.
Trustee Prose,
Aye, yes.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone, for working through that with us today. All right, we're going to move on to the consider adoption of a Michigan Township Association's Principles of Governance Pledge. Manager Succi is going to present that for us.
Actually, this is something that Clerk DeMarco had received and brought to the admin committee, so I will turn over to Clerk DeMarco.
Thank you.
Hang on one second, I'm just making notes. The Michigan Townships Association is a body that interacts with municipalities across the state, all of our various positions. They sent us a monthly newsletter and magazine. They introduce, or they alert us, they communicate with us on Senate bills, on House bills, just important elements and things that are happening around the state. And they do have that piece that's put in there, the governing rules, yeah. And basically, this is saying that we align with what they're doing and how they work with municipalities. And it's a request for the board to stay current with what their views are And do we want to sign it or not?
We've done these in the past.
Yes, so
Right
it
there on the
is,
wall.
Yes, we have. It's just very outdated.
yeah, the idea is that each board is a 4-year term, and so each board is different. And so theoretically, we could have done this with the new board a couple of years ago, but since it's coming up now, we wanted to present it to the board.
Right. Pass it around the sign.
Sounds good.
We just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Michigan Township Association, MTA Principles of Governance.
Support.
Okay, thank you. We have the motion by Treasurer Moran, supported by Trustee Hurwitz, approving the Michigan Township Association Principles of Governance for our current board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're ready to move on to consider the Arts Council Memorandum of Understanding for Art Installation at the Amy Van Andel Library and Ada Community Center.
Yeah, Supervisor Corth, I will take it, and then I didn't know if we'd start with Chris Laporte, he's the artist here, but I will give a little bit of a summary. So this is a project we've been working on with the Ada Arts Council. They had reached out regarding a potential partnership for their inaugural public art commission for the Amy Van Andel Library. The art would be a life-size pencil drawing inspired by an early 1900s photo of the 25 founding members of the Ada Ladies Literary Club. Following the request, the Administrative Committee reviewed and provided feedback, which was incorporated into the materials provided today. And so essentially, the township would be approving the Memorandum of Understanding. It's not necessarily indicating any donation. And essentially, what we're doing with the Memorandum of Understanding is, well, let me get the language for it. We're essentially acknowledging the project will include, what it will include, the installation, the location. The MOU shall be in effect for 25 years from the effective date. The idea being that, you know, the township would be able to, in 25 years, that's essentially kind of the useful life. But if it wanted to extend it, it could extend it. It talks about how the project will be commissioned, the total budget, which is being handled by the Ada Arts Council, and then require professional installation. The one component that we would be on the hook for was liability insurance for the art. And so I did reach out to our insurance company. They indicated that we do have across our properties about $100,000 in art coverage. And this piece, I think, is valued at $90,000, or the project's $90,000. And so I had indicated we'd want a special call out for it. And so it was $252 a year for insurance for this piece. And so happy to answer any questions. I know Chris Laporte, the artist, is present. Chip Clark, who's president of the Arts Council, was unavailable. And so he shared with Chris that Chris would be attending. Chris, I don't know if you want to come up and add anything?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for considering this. This has been a project that's been in the work for a couple years. Started a conversation in September of 2023. It's been vetted through various organizations, including Friends of the Library, the Ada Arts Council, of course, and the Historical Society, creating programming around this art. So it's not simply just, you know, enhancing the visual experience at the library, but it also has a lot to do with expressing community legacy, creating educational opportunities going forward for generations, and connecting future generations and current generations with prior generations that have happened to have a huge impact on the community we have today.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions about the artwork or its intent or process or value.
Elaborate on the intent from your perspective.
Pardon me?
The intent from your perspective, that's interesting.
Oh, thanks.
Can you elaborate on that?
Certainly. So I created a work similar to this for the East Grand Rapids Library, working with Mary Dersch at the, who was an employee for KDL, but also created the history room. And with new development and things like that, utilizing art as a way to, the books is a manner of engaging with people from long ago across continents. You can hear voices by reading. This artwork like this provides an opportunity for a visual experience to connect with people from centuries ago who happen to be, in this case, relatives of people who may still have family legacies in this community. They can recognize their relatives and feel a stronger sense of pride in the place that they're at. And that has been the experience certainly in East Grand Rapids. So to have, in a sense, a sister piece to this brother piece over there creates more connectivity across communities that are adjacent to each other. So a lot of things have been in consideration in the development of the piece, and it's cross over into many functional purposes.
Great, thank you.
I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
Ever since Art Prize, and I think we're really fortunate here in Ada to have a piece of yours here in Ada, so.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Okay, great, thank you. So what we're looking for is a motion to authorize Township Manager Tucci to work with Ada Arts Council to finalize the memorandum of understanding for art installation at the Amy Van Andel Library and Ada Community Center.
I'll make the motion. The motion to authorize Township Manager to work with Ada Arts Council to finalize a memorandum of understanding for art installation at the Amy Van Andel Library, Ada Community Center.
Support.
Moved by Trustee Carter, supported by Trustee Banstra. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to consider the proposal from Dixon Architecture for architecture and engineering services for the new Township Hall for an amount not to exceed $608,500.
Thanks, Supervisor Korth. In 2025, the township requested qualifications from Dixon Architecture, Progressive Companies, and Integrated Architecture to consider for the Township Hall construction, or the engineering and serve as the record engineer. Recognizing the cost proposal would be submitted later. The intent in selecting an engineer of record early in the process was to facilitate coordination with Notre Dame School of Architecture during their design concept process. And so Dixon Architecture has submitted the attached proposal. Once the original proposal was received, I did reach out to Dixon Architecture to ask a couple of questions. So the proposal from Dixon Architecture lists a square footage of 24,000 square feet. That is what was in the concept plan from Notre Dame. The original space needs study was at 16,000 square feet. And then as we've had other state requirements change in terms of storage, and feedback with Notre Dame, that size came up to 24,000 square feet. My preference was to include a note that the building size has yet to be determined. I don't anticipate the township's building a 24,000 square foot building. We had talked at our board work session, I want to say in April, and it was in a range closer to 19 to 20,000 square feet, but that would ultimately depend on, again, the Notre Dame piece was a concept. And so once we sit down with Dixon, then we can identify where there is some efficiency, where there is duplication, and then continue to vet, our original space needs study. And then the other component I included was under services not included. Talks about not providing cost estimating or opinion of probable cost. I know that's the big thing that residents want to hear is how much is it going to cost? And so I think one of the pieces we've talked about is it's essentially $500. This is very rough, $500 a square feet, or $500 per square foot. But the size could depend on one, what we work through with Dixon, and then two, also cost considerations on our end. And so we really can't move that other piece forward until we get more guidance on that space and what we need in terms of space and what can actually fit in the building, the hallway sizes, the bathroom sizes, all those details that will let us identify what that final space is, and then determine what we need to remove as we look at what is duplicated, and then two, also what are the cost considerations. So I'm happy to answer questions. There's a lot of information in the proposal. Ken Dixon is here. There's also a schedule included that outlines the schedule for the work to be done as well as the costs associated with it from the architectural service piece. which doesn't include structural, mechanical, civil, interior design. There's a number of components. This takes us from the design to the doors open and we're walking into it. I could answer any questions, or if we want Ken to come up and speak.
I do have a question, and maybe Ken, you might need to address some of the answers. As I recall, when we were sitting in that work session, one of the big things, unless we know, and I think you recall, we know what's in each of the areas and what it's gonna physically look like, and we can get the layout of the interior, we really don't know the size. So this work is needed to determine, and actually, it's a lot of money. However, I believe by working together, we can right-size the building and quite frankly, save the $600,000. But my question for you along the way, how many stopping points can we have? Can we have a stopping point and maybe a meeting on similar to what we had in the past on does this look right before you get into all the mechanicals and the sprinkler lines and the toilet size and on and on and on. I think it's really important that we're close, but until we have some ideas of what the clerk's office and her storage space needs are and what everybody kind of needs, I just really believe we're premature, and if we can pay for the $600,000, probably double or triple by knowing what the exact size that we truly do need now and for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So a suggestion. So looking at maybe just the schematic design, getting to the point where we know what the building size is, just kind of parceling that out. We do that all the time. You know, the client doesn't want to commit to the full proposal. We can look at just, you know, portions of the proposal to get to that next step. Going into this, there was a lot of challenges as to come up with that price, and I did like 3 different ways of how to come up with that price. Looking at historicals, the library, for example, what the price on that was. Looking at historicals for municipal buildings in the United States. Looking at those percentages, having projections of what this building might be, the 500 per square foot, and looking at what percentage we were coming in at. And I'll be honest, you know, the number that is on this paper is considerably less than what the national average would be for a municipal building. I'm using numbers where I've been doing this for 22 years. I know how long it takes my people to get through, how to work with the client in a building such as this. I compare it to kind of a church. There's a lot of, you know, back and forth and a lot of people involved with that front end stuff. I feel confident in the number that I have does represent the real life situation, what I would expect for this scenario. Breaking it out and just doing schematic design, I would be open to that.
I really believe it's critical. It's critical because we've been vacillating between 24,000 square feet and 16,000 square feet. And there is one large difference in cost in that building, let alone the functional maintenance and ongoing and upkeep. I want a building that will work for today and for the future, but I don't want a bunch of wasted space or stuff that we really don't need. I want to see it, and like we've done in some of the other buildings with the occupancy and the interior design, we need to know that and then turn you loose to the next phase, which would then be complete, that we got a complete bid set at that point.
I can completely agree, and we've already looked at it, and I know we can cut some square footage out of this, just as you get into realistic. The drawings that Notre Dame did were done very well, but they're still single line diagrams. They're not wall thicknesses. There's just not, you know, typical things that we can really zero in on hallway situations and talking individually with everyone and what you need and really buttoning down on this. I know we can reduce the square footage.
And to me, that's quite frankly, it's super important. It's super important that we have a functional, good-looking, perhaps expandable, I hate even to say that because I don't want it expandable. I want it to be a permanent size. but I want it where we can buy expandable, if we need another office, put it in without, you know what I'm saying. And I believe if we do this, we're gonna save your fees for the community by building the right size and by having the best product. And that's what we need.
All on board. I was very excited to be here today to talk and move forward. The perception early on in the meeting, it kind of surprised me a little bit, and I'm a community member. I want to do what's best for the community. If there's a concern about the fee, let's take it into pieces and work forward. I think that's a good way of dealing with it.
I think it's a waste of your time if we start with the electrical or with the mechanical.
And we wouldn't have started anyway, but you're right. There's a step here that needs to be done first.
So breaking out your professional fee table here, which pieces are we talking about? Section A?
Section A, yep.
Section A.
Schematic design, yep.
And that's a critical first step. And we all have to be in agreement with it. After all these years, we have to be in agreement of what the first step and what the interior of the building.
Yeah.
We've gone through, how many, we had 2 meetings, where we sat looking at Notre Dame's design, but it was a building. And that building needs to house people in offices and become realistic. So if it's a reduction in the fees or we take it in steps, whatever the total needs to be, I think it's wise.
That's fine. I do have a concern, though. I just want to make sure that, who's defending the idea that we have needs versus wants. And I'm really concerned that wants are driving a lot of our cost and size and expectations. I haven't seen a whole lot of pushback. Obviously, with it being a Grand Valley, we work really hard on standards. What our office size is, what our meeting room size is, what are things like that, and why aren't we dictating that? I saw that the stuff from Notre Dame was more about a visual look at what we could do. There were offices, different sizes all over the board. There were 160 square foot offices. It created an issue of concern that we're driving that. Also, at $500 a square foot or more, there's public space, there's office space, there's storage space. And you can't equate the cost of storage. I'm not really too keen on spending $500 or $1,000 a square foot on storage space,
right,
unoccupied space. And the same discussion we had about, well, we have this great big township hall idea here. We could use it for events. We could use it for this. Then do we need a catering kitchen? All these things. It just turns into this snowball effect where I want to go back to the importance of what we're doing is, we have an operational function, we have a public function, and we have a private function. I want to make sure that we're defending those areas appropriately to be as cost effective while building something that's going to be timeless for our community. I just want to make sure we're not doing something that's going to, it takes the personalities out of it and allows it to say, here are standards, here's what we want to do, here's what we need to accomplish. And at the same note saying, if you have a conference room that can be divided eventually into 2 offices or something, if you need space, just what the standards are. And that's where I want to make sure as we go towards schematics, we're moving towards standardization as opposed to a big one-off building.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. The efficiency of the building needs to be challenged.
We did a lot of extensive work with department heads with Notre Dame, and I know that we would do the same with Dixon as well. Coming into our offices and just taking a look at what we do and what we currently have and where it's deficient or not. I mean, I don't see a lot of wants are not overshadowing the needs. It's the other way around here.
Just to clarify, Ken, when I said architectural services, and you said point A, is that all subpoints through 4, or is that just a sub I, like the schematic?
Right, so you're looking at 2 basic scope of services under element 1, architectural services, A through, let's see, so it would be A, to necessary meetings with the client, Notre Dame.
I'm on page 6 of 11 where it says the architect.
6
I'm
of
looking at
11.
where the numbers are, the fee numbers are. I was trying to say, is that how we're going to try to break this up, or are you going to say?
I'm sorry, it's the 25,000, the schematic design. That would be the only element that would be provided under this agreement.
Now, Ken, would we need, to Would this need to include, that would not need to include the construction manager, correct? Any part of
That would
conversation?
not, no. We wouldn't need the construction manager at that point.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the time window from your perspective of, in other words, so that, are we gonna try to get on our board schedule or special meeting schedule so that as this thing moves along, we're able to not drag it down through approvals of the next step kind of thing?
It's really how, we're malleable. It's really how you want to set up that cadence of meetings and who I'm meeting with and walking through the building.
Well, but even this first point, the schematic design.
6 weeks.
Six, as it says it in there.
Yeah, in the schedule.
All right, so 6 weeks, all right, so we're talking, we approved today, we're talking kind of mid-July, kind of a time frame, late July, by the time you'd be ready to talk to us and show us some things.
There's engagement during that period, though, that I would need from the township. So, again, it's a little bit of being at, not my disposal, but being available to me to ask
But
questions.
it's a whole, it's internal people at the township, it's not necessarily the board members, but it's.
No,
truly-
I don't think it's necessarily the board member, it's
the clerk and the
it's the people
treasurer
within
and
the
their
office
people
of which we're.
And
also-
planning and
Yeah, okay, exactly,
assessing.
all the
and-
department heads.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Challenging.
With keeping in mind exactly, we have to make sure that we're utilizing space, and I love the standardization, because standardization is key for success going forward.
Okay.
So, I think we need to make a motion, and it's not for the full amount at this point, it's for the first part.
That's great.
Can I just
Sure,
add?
please.
I think the one thing, and we're gonna need your help on this, Ken, is, okay, when people in the general public hear $600,000, they go, wow, that's a lot of money. You know, I need to understand, is that a reasonable fee? How do we justify that? You know, what kind of ammunition can you give us to show that that's a reasonable fee?
Yeah, I mean, I think Julius might have said it. I mean, that's till the moment we open the door. That's from the moment we start to talk with planning and how to lay this out with all the contractors. There's 6 other consultants that are involved in this. It's not all architecture. It's mechanical, electrical,
Right.
plumbing, civil.
I could see that there.
It's, helping make a selection of the contractor, which is, boy, one of the most important decisions, I think, in the process as well. And it's seeing it through construction. So, I mean, we're committing to 18 months of work here.
Well, you made a comment that you looked at other municipal buildings that have been built. and
Correct.
You looked at,
Yep.
and I think that kind of information, I think I'd like to see,
Okay,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So that we could sit there and say, yeah, this is reasonable. Because I could see where, a regular Ada resident's not gonna understand, what proportion of a new building's cost is architectural. This is gonna look giant to them.
Yep, yep.
So how do we just, help
Yeah, I can
us?
track that down. It's 8
Yeah.
to 12%. Just did that research, is a typical
Yeah.
average rate, yep, for a municipal building.
Yeah, and you could sit there and give examples of that.
Sure. I
Yeah.
can track that down.
See, and I think that's, for me, I'd like to have that for when someone stops me on the street, says, what are you doing? So, because that
Yeah,
number sounds
and the
a
thing
lot.
is, we really, my firm has never based our fees on percentage of construction. Seems like you're kind of tied to driving it up.
Yeah.
It's actually based on my knowledge of my people, number of people, how I allocate the amount of time, and that's how I derive the number that we have here today.
Yeah.
With some opportunities to tailspin, because the last guy I want to come to and ask for a change order is that guy right there. So it's covering a little bit of reinvestigating topsy-turvy. I should also point out, if you read, it's an hourly contract with a guaranteed maximum price. So if we don't have those topsy-turvy and turnarounds, and we finish early and I don't hit the high number, I don't bill it. So we're kind of in a good scenario where I'm trying to serve the community as best I know how, and we'll work together diligently, intelligently, thoroughly, and if we do it efficiently and do it right and quick, everybody wins. So I want to point that out too. The number could be lower at the end of the day, but not to exceed, because I've capped a guaranteed maximum price.
Well, like I said, I'm just looking for ammunition and I go through it all the time too. You know, someone asks me for a fee, and you give them a quote.
Yep.
Usually they have sticker shock.
Yep.
You know, and so you gotta be able to say, well, explain, here's why,
That's fair.
you know?
That's why I'm on the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
So we would just
Make
looking,
it a lot harder.
we would just be looking for a motion then to approve the schematic design.
Correct.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by trustee Pro, supported by trustee Hurwitz, to list Dixon Architecture for the new Township Hall architecture and engineering proposal, specifically the schematic design for $25,000. Not to exceed $25,000. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Great start, guys. It's a great start, because without that,
Excuse me.
without that start, we'll end up change orders city.
Let's jump in. I'm ready to go. We've been waiting for quite some time, and we're excited to move forward.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Excuse me. Okay, we're gonna move on to consider the award for Fire Station Number 1 roof replacement project. Excuse me, to Miller Brothers Roofing and Construction for an amount not to exceed $117,400.
So, yeah, if you look in the packet that I think everybody has in front of you, the fire station was built.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Oh, sorry. I'm Nick Dewey, your deputy fire chief. I'm sorry. So if you look in your packet, the fire station was built in 1990. We put another roof on it in 2004. So we got 14 years out of the first roof and 22 years out of the second one. We're proposing putting a metal roof on the fire station. If you drive around Ada, we're starting to notice a lot more metal roofs that are going in. And I think the look, for one, they look great, and the longevity of how long they'll last. Out of the bids that we got, Miller Brothers came in at $117,400. That price does include all new gutters and downspouts also with that. We just feel that we're gonna get a lot longer roof out of a metal roof versus shingle. If we have to put another roof on it in, say, 15 years, here we go, we're spending another 50 grand right away, you know? So the metal roof should last, it could last forever. I mean, nothing lasts forever, but we're gonna get a lot longer out of it than a shingle roof. If there's any questions that anybody has.
Does all the red trim go away? It looks like in your rendering here, it's brown. Is
So
that all
the
red around
whole,
windows?
yes, the whole roof will be black.
Black.
And, yep, and then all,
Same color this
so
is
we're gonna
black?
do that to match the doors that just got put in. And everything that was red will be black.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Our trucks are enough red for the fire department.
You can
We
keep them
go-
red.
Yeah.
It's all good.
The bids have a lot of variability in terms of the prices. Is there a comparison of the actual thickness of the metal and the constitution between, I mean, in other words, did you guys take the time to compare, what metal are they putting on?
Right, so everybody that bid this, it's a standing seam roof. This is not like a pole barn type steel where you see any of the screws that go in. You won't see any of that. We won't have to replace any of those over the years. So yeah, everybody bid it the same. It's a standing seam roof. That's what they call it,
So
same
it's like a
thickness.
26 gauge.
Yeah. All the steel too from everybody, it comes in a big coil, they make it right on site and then put it up. So.
I'm curious, is it loud if you're inside it?
With the insulation, they said we shouldn't see a difference. One thing that they did say with the metal that's gonna be better is, right now we're getting a lot of ice dams in different areas, and they'll put, it's coming down the side of the building, they put like an ice ridge, across to hold that, so it's not coming down the side of the building.
Move approval of the award to Miller Brothers in the amount of $117,400, throw a metal roof on the building.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by trustee Pro, supported by trustee Carter. Any further discussion on the motion to put a standing metal seam roof on fire station number 1 for $117,000? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the work you guys did on getting your bids. It was really useful. Yeah. Okay, so now we're down to department reports. Manager Sushi, do you like to start with yours?
Yep, just a couple notes. One, we have pictures of the Veterans Memorial dedication that we held on Monday, May 25th. It was a wonderful event. We had more than 200 citizens. We did purchase coins that we had handed out at the dedication. We are purchasing more of those to hand out. We did not anticipate having 150 people. We thought we might get 40 or 50 people who showed up, and so it was just a great turnout, great weather, and appreciate everyone who was able to attend. 3 Mile Road, just following up on one to Nevin's comment. So I can't speak for the board, but what I would say is the wrap treatment was kind of a solution for right now while the engineering is being done. So we did approve the engineering to be completed, the road commission will tell us the deficiencies with the road, and ultimately, if they can be achieved with the gravel road, then that's what they can let us know, or it can let us know, no, it needs to be paved. Those are two separate items than the wrap treatment, but just wanted to clarify that. And the other piece is, King County Road Commission did reach out, and they want to schedule a public hearing for the 3 Mile Road. They had kind of put a pause on it. They were hoping to get further down the line with some engineering, so when they do hold a meeting with residents, that they have some additional information. And so I'm going to be working, providing Jerry Byrne at the Road Commission some dates after the 4th of July to schedule so that that notice can be provided. The Road Commission will only put their signs out at the road. I'll make sure that we send a notice to everyone on 3 Mile Road in that stretch so that they are aware of it. And then Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge, this is, again, a big one. June 19th, 20th, tell everyone, tell your family, tell your friends. You're not going to be able to get through Thornapple River Road Bridge on June 19th and 20th. One other item, the board work session. So we do have the board this year started a 5th Monday would trigger a regular work session. And so the first one is coming up second one is coming up June 29th. And we are looking at everything's coming together where Eric Wolcott from MSU Extension is going to be able to come and present. He said it takes about 90 minutes to go through his training. And so we're excited for that. And then I know Supervisor Korth had asked about having a discussion regarding residential construction in the township. And I'll allow Supervisor Korth to comment on that during the board member comment. But just wanted to give those updates and happy to answer questions if board members have them.
We should probably get something in regards to, with Ken, in regards to it. We should begin to
Schedule, yes.
schedule it.
Mm-hmm. That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. Or actually, first thing today at 2:15 or whenever we get out of here.
6?
2. Any other department heads, would they like to come up at this time to present any specific things? Okay. And then does any members of the board have any questions for any of the department heads? Because I see a lot of them in the room.
I would just like to take the time to introduce my new intern, Jack Labatt, sitting in the front row there. He'll be helping me these next couple of months, getting caught up on a few things, so happy to have him aboard.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. All right, so
Wait, excuse me, I'm sorry. Thank you all for being here, and I'm going to ask, I know that there's been a lot of talk internally about our new town hall. I'm going to ask, if you haven't done this already, to please start assessing what your space needs are. I know that planning and assessing, and I mean, all of you have talked about a lot of things, but I really get irritated if I think that anybody is thinking that we're asking for something grandiose that we don't need. So I know that you guys are great as far as keeping all of your needs intact, so just start thinking about that and how you would work with Ken.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move into board member comment. Does any members of the board have anything they'd like to talk about?
I think it was a very productive meeting. Thank you. And we have a lot going on in the township, and I'm a little bit hesitant of saying this, but I did drive by, I believe twice now, where it was still light, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and nobody working at the park. And if we want to get stuff done, we got to really begin to push. Caterburg, they're on a maybe early morning start till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The doggone it, they should be working almost till dark. That park needs to get done.
And we did talk about that. So we had we have a progress meeting check-in every couple weeks, and so they did know, you know, there are days where at 4 o'clock you can drive by, he said, but there's also days when you can drive by at 7 or 8 and they're still working. And so part of it depends on what crews can make it on what days and the coordination. There's probably 7 different contractors coordinating on site right now. So we are cognizant of that. When we sit down and meet with them, we go through specifically what is intended to be constructed over the next 2 weeks and then what has been constructed. So we are trying to make sure we keep track of that, Bob. Because I agree, no one wants to see 4 o'clock and there's no one working and the date's getting pushed back. But I would say there is those other days where they're at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Julius alluded to it. I've been involved in planning in Ada Township for 30 some odd years. And we put a tremendous amount of effort in our community through all of our envisions in our development of the commercial PVM district, of which we have a beautiful downtown that is designed to evoke a certain kind of response. Additionally, we've worked, and I've been through several iterations of our master plan through the years, and I took the time to review the latest master plan, and it talks in several places about the legacy village, the environments around the legacy village, to the covered bridge and so forth, about how it's our identity. And what's happening with respect to the housing stock change in the village is not a problem to me with respect to the need for structures that were, the structures that were built in the 19th century were humble to begin with, let alone the fact that they're now, 150 or more years old. What I'm worried about is that we took the time to spend an awful lot of energy on what the village was supposed to look at, but we have done nothing to say what should our residential housing stock not look like necessarily, but how should it be a cohesive part of both the history, the present, and potentially the future of the community. And currently, we have no guardrails at all. We have nothing. In other words, so if someone wants to come in and build a geodesic dome next door where they tear down an old house, there's nothing we can do about it right now. And so all I'm proposing is that I'd like to work with the planning department and Julius to develop an approach that I'd like to have some information at our work session to share of a concept, some ideas to try to get a sense from the board whether or not we're on the right track, and that ultimately, ideally try to come up with some kind of a framework where people building new houses in the village have a design book of a broad cross-section of things of which we're expecting to see, and not be caught off guard by something really, really out of keeping with the character of the community. That very design book is contemplated and is mentioned in our master plan. And so, and I myself hadn't remembered that when I first started talking about that, but it is in there. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share today, was that we're working on that. So
I think part of it, you're a little late.
Well, correct, and I do have that feeling, and I think part of it is that in all the years that went by, I never realized we'd be so utterly successful that it would bring people of tremendous wealth and value so close to the community. I always thought that there'd be a more mid-sized kind of change, and that's not happening. I agree, we may be a little bit late, but at the same time, there's still a lot of houses out there we want to work on, so or we want to consider the changes of the community. So, anyone else on any topics? All right, we have no closed session today, everyone. Isn't that exciting? So we're going to our opportunity for additional public comment now. Would any members of the public like to come up at this time to discuss anything else that was not already discussed? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll close the additional public comment and ask for a motion to adjourn.
Moved. Second.
We have a motion from, we have a motion from trustee Hurwitz, supported by trustee Carter, for us to adjourn at 1:55. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Ooh, we need.
You saw I signed that, so you got.
Oh, I
saw
guess.
that I signed.
Sign the outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you're keeping I signed it on the inside too, so you have to keep the envelope if you don't want to.
The bottom, did you see it for that?